What's good, YouTube? Steel here, and in this video we're taking on the Tinkaton EX Expert Solo Battle. And for the first time in this channel, we're taking on both like the opposite type, which in this case they're asking for water only, and the no trainer in one go. Usually I try to split those up because I have like an efficient way of beating them with no trainers, and then like the best way to beat them with only like the type that they require is by using something that's a little more focused. However, in this case, I truly believe there's a list that could do both. So we will get into that, but first I wanted to break down the list we're going against, as this is like a weird deck as like a whole, because although it's pretty simple like in concept, like they start Skarmory, they are aggressive with it, whether it's with the helmet or a cape, they're just hitting for 50 while they build up the Tinkaton in the back. But there's just something about like their priority to build up a Skarmory that they just like allocate their energy quite awkwardly. You'll see if they have double Skarmory that they'll kind of like ignore their Tinkaton line until both Skarmorys have an energy, and then they start building that up. It's kind of awkward. Maybe in your experience it's different, but personally in all my testing, as I was trying to find a list that would work, as well as if there's any exploits, I noticed that energy allocations is somewhere where this deck is lacking. Other things to note is the fact that there's no healing whatsoever, no Pokemon Center Lady or potion, as cape is the only way they manipulate health. And usually their tools are like almost always used on Skarmorys, unless they don't open Skarmory, in which case you'll see them like applied on their Shamans and Tinkaton, and then when they finally have the Skarmory, they still prioritize using it, but they don't have a tool on it. It's, again, this is one of those like really weird ones, which is why we were able to actually be able to beat it with such a like not normal deck in the form of just a bunch of water type Pokemon all in one pile. And then another thing to note is that despite them not having like a Leaf or X speed, they do have double Shaman, so at least early on they have a lot of freedom in swapping out and bringing out cards they see fit. However, once they start evolving up the Tinkaton line, if it ever gets stuck in the active, they have no way of bringing it out without just like dumping a bunch of energy, because Shaman only works on basics. So that's pretty much all I can say about this deck, because on paper I could see exactly what they were going for. In practice, I don't know if the CPU is like the best, I guess, player to be using it. Let's go straight into the deck that I'll be using to beat this. Water Good Stuff is essentially the name of this deck, as we get like basically the best water cards or generic water cards and put them all together. With that concept in mind, feel free to like swap out certain lines for whatever you feel is better or more comfortable with. I honestly just put some of my favorites with some of the most efficient. The card that has to be there, I feel, is the double Manaphy, double Origin Form, because that's like the ideal chain of command, I guess, to get there. And then the rest is like your favorite or your strongest water cards that you either believe in or want to use. And before I get like too into detail about this list, I will post either in a time card or down in the description a link to like what I believe is like the best no trainer list, just in case you find this one to be a little inconsistent. And I can guarantee that that won't be far more like efficient or consistent than this one. However, I kind of want to have fun with it and be able to knock out both like the all waters and the no trainer here. But going back to how to beat this challenge, whether we go first or second really dictates how we play this deck, because if we're going second and we open Manaphy, it's basically like done. Like the game's basically over depending on what we have, as you just lead Manaphy, ramp up your Origin Form Palkia or whatever you have like access to. You don't want to dump all your waters on the board. You'll see that in the gameplay as well, that you kind of like pick and choose what you put down depending on like the available options you have in your hand. But once you get Manaphy going, you're in a pretty good spot. On the other hand, if you're going first, you do not want to start Manaphy, because they have access to just going Skarmory, Tool, knock it out, and then not only are you behind a point, you got like nothing going for you. In that case, you'll most likely want to open with either Palkia, or at least Froakie and Wiglet could take a hit from the Skarmory, so that would even be a better start. Anything that just doesn't completely fall immediately to the Skarmory is probably ideal. But for the most part, this is a pretty straightforward idea. You Manaphy and ramp as much as possible, or you put something up in the front to act as a wall and ramp stuff as much as possible. And once you start to get going, it's too much damage for like the Tinkaton deck to actually like deal with, especially with their energy allocation. Their biggest threat is not only building up that Tinkaton, but having it flip heads when it finally attacks. The times that they actually get to attack is very, very low, again due to like the energy allocation that I mentioned. But trust me, it's been through like a lot of trial and like testing that I could tell you that this deck will work. And also, if you have like doubts on how to play it or what I'm saying, feel free to stick around for the gameplay, as you can see it working in action, as like that's the best way to teach it. There's only a limit to like what words can like actually show you. But regardless, if you find this video helpful and you are able to beat this challenge, please consider liking and subscribing. I will once again put down in the description a list that is a little more consistent if you just want to focus on beating it with no trainers. This, however, gets both the no trainer and the water only down in one shot. So I wish y'all the best of luck, and above all else, stay pro. All right, going second, which is ideal if we see Manaphy, which we do. And yep, if we go first, it gets a little shaky, because if they open Skarmory with like a tool, they just one shot what we got. All right, that's like the best case scenario. Now as for, okay, Pokeball there. what the game plan is pretty simple. We're going to build up Palkia alongside one of these. As to which one, hopefully we see a draw that like evolves from one of these and we could like commit to that. Either Wugtrio or Starmie, but we'll see. Regardless, we're in a good spot. Greninja. Guess we could commit this. I already, like the second I put it down, I regretted it, but Is it the issue is like whichever one we build up, we're going to regret, right? So let's go. Let's hold on that for now. Regardless, if they don't open too fast, the Palkia itself could like basically close out the game for us. All right, let's see where the energy goes. The energy going on Skarmory is huge for us. Like anything that doesn't go here is just perfect. All right, we'll build this up. Kind of like a 50-50. I don't want to commit to either one, unfortunately. I guess technically, if y'all are sitting at home and wondering like, oh, which one you would do, I would essentially lean on Wiglet, mainly because it requires 3 energy, so building it up earlier is like important. Meanwhile, like if it's Starmie, that's when we see it, we could like start building that up and not actually like risk anything. All right, so yeah, this is a situation where Palkia could for sure like just clean up the game for us. The only issue is we're gonna see some head flips here, right? It's gonna be crucial for in order to like beat them fast enough. All right, this is huge as well. And I guess at this point we could commit to both. Might as well. As well as like I said, this one requires more energy. And if we see heads here, we're living. Unfortunate, but not the end of the world. Not yet, anyways. Next turn we have the Greninja set up. We can start poking the Tinkaton. As far as healing goes, they don't have any. They do have Cape in the deck, but other than that, we don't have to really worry about dealing too much damage. All right, let's go here. We even have like technically, essentially a backup in Greninja here. As something that could deal damage, or at least consistent damage, right? Start poking there. Zone Smash. Luckily, we didn't need heads there, so it's fine. Now, I wonder if they're going to go Tinkaton and threaten, like, that to just be a wall, or if they're going to threaten, like, put something in the way, basically. I think this is huge for us, because they can't attack next turn. That's one thing. And two, we're able to, like, essentially, we're going to do for sure 80 damage. That puts them down to 70. Yeah, I think this is a wrap. And they put the energy on Skarmory. I don't know what's going on. Let's start building this up as well. And realistically, outside of them starting with Shaman, this is like one of like the best starts that the deck has, that their deck has available. Can we finally get a heads here? Okay, Palkia, you know, wants to be a pacifist today. Realistically, had they just committed to this Tinkaton, they might have just like completely handled us. If they saw Cape right here, we probably had no way of like beating them. Realistically, they probably just might switch back into the backline one. All right. Oh, that's right. Shaman doesn't work on, is only on basics, so they have to pay the full cost there to retreat. This is kind of like an odd spot, really. Like I don't see a way where we protect this from happening, but I also don't see a way where they build up anything in time to like body us. So let's just Greninja the backline. And basically Palkia has to fight for his life here. He has to get the knockout. There you go. Finally a head flip. And we get the... But again, as like lucky as that coin flip seems, I hope y'all are able to see that we were going to win regardless. Like we're in a point where they can't really do anything. And that's that we didn't see Wugtrio or Starmie that should have closed it out immediately. So essentially we were just sitting on a Palkia like turbo. Alright. At this point, what we do is kind of like almost irrelevant. We could, if we tag this, we don't beat them in time. Also, they are out of capes though, so we could just focus on that, or we could just deal what's in front of us. And the Palkia locked in. All right. Yeah, this is a guaranteed game. Again, they have no way of like healing this. They have no way of attacking next turn either. The Rocky Helmet's on the wrong guy. Yeah, GG's to our opponent there. We never saw Wugtrio or Starmie, but it wasn't necessary. And anyways, I always do multiple examples, so I'll do one after this just so you can see a different game. Hopefully they draw a little bit better and like the deck has to, our deck actually has to perform. But other than that, GG's on this one. All right, now we get to go first. So that this is where like opening Manaphy is not like the dream. Actually, this is even better. This is gonna be a wall while we build up Wugtrio, and that's probably gonna be the win condition. All right, that I could say is lucky. Them opening Shaman is definitely in our best interest. It's not aggressive at all. And we'll commit this here. Again, they don't have... Actually, they do have Cyrus and Sabrina. But realistically, I don't really fear if they do. Like, I'm not going to take a spot for Palkia just because. Alright. Pokeball there. They do have double Shaman in the list, so it's possible where they see both of them and then they just start swapping out into anything they really need to see or want to see. Okay, there's the Skarmory, there's the other Shaman. So you see, if I think it's, do they not have another tool? Did they misplay there? Yeah, they CPU things doing CPU things really. Because had they just held the cave and put in a Skarmory, we would have been in a much worse spot. However, we're gonna stick to this game plan. We're gonna evolve. And Wugtrio is the type of card that, although the damage isn't consistently being displayed, it could easily clear out full boards on its own. So we'll stop there. There's the helmet, so Skarmory is definitely going to be live now. However, them not seeing the Tinkaton line is basically like... It's like, what's the word I'm looking for? Their death sentence, like they have no win condition outside of that, right? Like the most they could hit with anything else in the deck is for 50 with this Skarmory. 70 if you want to count the helmet. Like, this board of theirs can't keep up with Wugtrio, so... And realistically, if Wugtrio right now just focuses and hits the Skarmory for at least 100, I'm pretty sure the game's just over at that point. Okay, and we got the Starmie for backup. Alright, and then we just do that. And... Alright, the Skarmory did not fall, but it is in range for the next turn. And the most they could do is 50, puts us to... Do we have to be careful? I'm here contemplating, because if we hit them for... If they hit us for 50, we're at 70, and we hit them back, we go to 50. And then we're at 50, and the Shaman can only do 30. I think we're fine. However, I guess... Another option they have, they could potentially hit us for 60, but you know, let's just run it. Because we could even win here if the damage... What in the world was that? At least we can't lose. We can't lose. That poor Shaman took a lot of freaking beating right there, but us being at 70 means their opponent can only hit us for 50, max 60 if they swap into this Tinkaton. And then, which they didn't even like put energy to. So now we just swap into Starmie and guarantee the knockout. We're not playing those games. So yeah, despite Wugtrio trying to fail us, you can see that this is a very winnable matchup. Although this is not like an ideal deck, it is what it is. It's a fun spin to it. If you want like the perfect, what I consider like the perfect no trainer list, I already made that video and I probably linked it earlier. It'll be in the description regardless. That list will consistently beat any like of these expert solo battles with no trainers. But as for a fun way to do both the no trainer and all water, this is like definitely the go-to. And you could like change cards here or there depending on availability. Realistically, it's just put the best generic water cards. In this case, Manaphy, Origin, Palkia, and then like anything you want to put next to it. And essentially, you should be winning or be in a good spot to win. And if this video did in fact help you, or you just found it entertaining or enjoyable, please consider liking and subscribing as we post everything Pokemon Pocket here. So if that's something that interests you, please consider subscribing. But above all else, stay pro.